With the rising costs of fuel, illuminating, paraffin, diesel, interest rates, and even food, households have barely been surviving. While some have had to make difficult choices monthly, it seems the pressure is also becoming a bit too much. So what happens now? Let's speak to Khandani Msibi, Executive Chairperson of 360 Solutions Group. Thank you so much, Mr. Msibi, for your time. I mean, we often hear, even tonight as well, we're being told South Africans must continue to be, resilient as they've been. Households must hold on a little bit longer to weather this particular storm. But how much more can households take?
I think we have a bit of a deadline there because I missed the first part, but I've already been briefed Bongi about the subject matter.
Yes.
And I think if ever there was a time for financial advisors to stand up and be counted, this is the moment, given what households are going through. I mean, some of the households, as a result of COVID, have gone to zero income because some companies were actually destroyed by COVID and never came back. Others were destroyed by the riots, it never came back. Some by the floods never came back. And others are facing declining income as a result of the interruption brought about by load shedding. So consumers are really in a very difficult position. Those that are fortunate are in a steady income, and those who are much more fortunate, who have a variable income, who can work hard to increase their income, are in a much better position. This is the time when those people that started side hustles, those side hustles are beginning to pay them, in a sense that we all facing pressure from increasing costs. But what I think, without being a financial advisor, but being a consumer myself, right, I think what we are faced with is that we need to reduce consumption of unnecessary goods. Right? I mean, if you're having dessert, you don't need dessert. I mean, it's not nutritious, so it's not helping you. Alcohol, cut down on alcohol. There's no need to drink alcohol, so that you can conserve the little bit of income that you have and make it go a little bit further. And then there's other hard decisions that people have to make. And then if you can live without a car, sell a car when the going gets tough. I mean, I do know that there are people that need a car in order to generate income. But if you don't need a car to generate income, and it's just a luxury and a show off, perhaps in these times when you are under pressure, it is one of those luxuries that you let go. Yeah. And if you're renting, if it's bad, why don't go home? It's a hard thing. It could be shameful in some situations, but we have to face the realities of income. And if necessary, you can even share accommodation with the friends and reduce your costs. So there's things that we can do despite the fact that it's hard. And here I'm talking about what you can do. Never mind what the government can do. I think we can complain all we want about government, but at the end of the day, as an individual, you're on your own and you're faced with the challenges, financial challenges that are confronting you.
Yeah. I know you talk about households and how households need to start putting things into perspective in order to try and lessen the burden. But there's also concerns even from some South Africans who are saying government needs to be doing something to cushion the blow for South Africans. For example, speaking to the Department of Mineral Resources tonight, they talk about how for them, these fuel price increases are a functionality of different various government departments. There's Treasury involved when it comes to the levy, there's Department of Transport and all of that. But does it look like there's a coordinated approach from their front to be able to assist South Africans to also be able to bear this particular burden?
I think the problem that the state has is that the fuel price is driven by external factors. You remember that when we started having the war in the Ukraine, that the oil price skyrocketed, and that has an impact directly into our fuel. But South Africa has lost the advantage of having its own refinery. And also, we've lost advantage of expanding Sasol which was making fuel out of coal. And we should have expanded the Sasol operation so that we can insulate ourselves from the fluctuation of the oil price. Right? I know that the Sasol price is a little pegged against the international oil prices, but as a country, we could have made a decision to unplug Sasol out of the international price movement and fund it differently in order to produce more fuel out of coal so that we are insulated. But I think the problem that we sit with is that this fuel is now going straight into the food prices, into commodity prices that we live with, and everybody who's in business is raising their prices because of the cost of fuel, from the farmers to the grocery manufacturers. And then you have a situation where, on top of that, the Reserve Bank increases inflation. Increases interest rate because inflation is going up, even though inflation is not driven by demand. It's not as if people are buying more, and if you were to take money out of their pockets through higher interest rates, they will buy less and inflation will go down. This inflation is driven by external factors, and we need long-term plans in order to protect ourselves. If you look at countries like Russia, where they've leveraged their natural resources. You look at, remember Libya in the past, and the US at some time was driving this idea of a fuel independence, and oil and fuel was very cheap in the US when they were able to actually and produce their own gas.
Mr. Msibi, I wish we had more time. The line letting us down there, but I hope we do get to speak again, because these are quite interesting points and a lot of it still needs to be canvassed, especially when we talk about those interest rates as well and what can be done. A lot of people having quite a lot of conversations about the possibilities there, but that is Khandani Msibi, Executive Chairman of 360 Solutions Group.